Welcome back everyone, welcome back into the channel. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not feeling my best today. There's a bit of lurgy going around here in Canberra, so not a walk and talk, but a few things for us to get into because the news doesn't necessarily stop. Huge game tomorrow for the Lions against the Brumbies, huge anyway in terms of the Lions selection. I don't know if we're going to get a competitive game, we'll wait and see. Hopefully the Brumbies are a good side. And we're also going to hear from Johnny Sexton and have a chat about whether both Australia and the Lions are holding something back for the Test series. So anything that comes up in the video, the comment section is where you can have your say. Put your comment down below. Like the video as well, that just boosts it and tries to get it to as many people on YouTube as possible so we can keep growing the channel. And also subscribe. Make sure you are subscribed. So I feel like we've hit an interesting part in the tour really, because it's not long to go. We've got 2 tour games until the start of the Test series. There is clearly a real eye towards that first test with the selection Andy Farrell has made to face the Brumbies. I don't think it's absolutely set in stone, but certainly it gives us a pretty good idea of what he's thinking, and the players will know that as well. The players aren't idiots, and they'll be aware that their opportunities to impress are kind of shrinking here, which is a natural part of the tour. And I do believe the team and the players when they say they're just taking it a game at a time and focusing kind of next match and going through their processes. But in the back of their mind, they must be aware of that, which makes this part of the tour, for me, quite an interesting part of it. They've got the game on Wednesday, they then travel to Adelaide, they have that game against this kind of Anzac team, which I mean, they've got great names on paper, but to me feels like it's going to be a bit of a barbarians type of game. How well is that going to prepare the Lions for the Test series? We'll see. Maybe it'll end up being really competitive and a great game, but we'll wait and see. So it's this kind of holding pattern where opportunities are running out, but the Lions are really building towards that first test. And speaking of the team that Farrell has named, how many of those players in the starting 15 do you think are nailed on to start the Test series? So if you had asked me yesterday, name your team for the first test, before Andy Farrell had named this team, I think of the players that are named, I would have had Sheehan, Atoje, McCarthy, Conan, Gibson Park, Russell, Kinghorn, Ringrose, Freeman, Lowe. I think I'd have had 10 of the names already nailed. And even the players that I didn't mention there, Genge I think has arguably been the form loose head on the tour, but I probably just had Porter ahead of him, but it's a bit of a toss-up, so Genge isn't any shock there. I actually had Beelum and Stewart ahead of Furlong, but I think with Furlong it's just experience. If you watch the video I did yesterday reacting to the team news, his third Lions tour, you give him as much opportunity as possible to be ready for the Test series, because you know if you can get him close to his best, he's your best option at tight head. So I didn't have him there. Chessum, I had Chessum or Byrne, so a bit like the Genge and Porter one. It's a toss-up. Curry is kind of interesting because I had Van der Fleer and Morgan in terms of form ahead of him, but maybe he is a bit like Furlong in that you know if he's close to his best, you pick Tom Curry. I think loads of you have disagreed with me on that one. I had a comment, I think on the video yesterday, where I said that over the last few years, Curry has been the best 7 out of Van der Fleer and Morgan, and there might be some of you that disagree, but I would stand by that. So maybe Andy Farrell is looking at Tom Curry and he knows if he can get the best out of him, just the level he is, and that's why he wants him part of the team. And then who was the other one I didn't mention there? Aki. I suppose 12 is a bit up for grabs at the moment between Tuipulotu and Aki. I might have named Aki, to be fair. My point is, I think a lot of those players are pretty nailed on. I think a lot of us would have them in the team. So who are the players that are nailed on? I think quite a lot of them. And who are playing for their places? I've kind of just run through it there of Furlong, maybe Chessum, maybe a Curry, maybe an Aki. But we're really getting a good idea of the Test team. And it probably hasn't been a huge amount of movement, has there, I don't think, based upon the start of the tour. Like from the start of the tour, that Argentina game to now, how many of those players have played their way out or played their way in? I don't think there's been a huge amount of movement there, maybe a little bit. Right, anyway, earlier on today, it was Johnny Sexton, the Lions coach, that was put up for media, so I had a chat with him. I thought you guys hopefully might enjoy this. So the other side of this, I'll be having a chat about whether the Lions and Australia are holding something back for the Test series, but enjoy about 4 minutes, me chatting to Johnny Sexton. Johnny, just finished a kicking session there. What are you enjoying the most about working with all of those guys?
Well, they're all great lads. That's the most important thing. All very different kickers, all different techniques, but like on a Lions tour, you're never going to be helping the kicker too much with the technique. It's really just about performing at the weekend, and you know, they've been great to work with so far.
Is your role predominantly working with the kickers, or are you involved in the wider attacking game as well?
No, mainly with the kickers. We've got some excellent coaches with Andrew Goodman and Richie Wigglesworth. Of course, they might ask me from a tens perspective what you think here, and I'll be able to give my input. Of course, Andy creates an environment where we're all in it together, and obviously I give my input where it's needed. But those two guys are doing a great job in their respective roles.
And in terms of where we are in the tour at the moment, Brumbies will be a real tough test, and then 2 tour games left before the test series start. Does it feel like a crunch time in terms of building towards that first test now, that not long to go essentially?
Well, we're just taking it game by game, really. So the guys have a huge opportunity to go out there this weekend and keep the run of good form going. Try and get another good result, and then we've got one more game before the test series, and then obviously the other one is sandwiched in between the first and second test, isn't it? Yeah. So we're really just game by game focus. We've never been fully happy with any of the performances. We always try and take the result out of it and just focus on the different areas of the game. And there was plenty in the last game that we need to improve on. The Brumbies have spoken about how they've seen some chinks in our armour and how they're going to go after us. So we need to make sure we show them some different pictures this weekend.
And
Wednesday. I think it's Friday.
Yeah, right. I think we're all in the same boat there. You've obviously been involved in plenty of tours before. Is that a kind of natural building process on a Lions tour, like nothing to be too concerned about, or would you like to be a bit further ahead of where you are?
No, I think you might laugh when I say this. The most impressive thing about the Argentina game was how cohesive we were in terms of the game plan. Everyone said what cost us was throwing 50-50 passes that weren't on, and we paid a huge price for that in terms of their transition, and they punished us with tries. And we didn't make the most of our entries into the 22. So our cohesion has been pretty impressive. I think that Andy's done a great job with that, and the other coaches, and it's about sort of putting that out there. And I think the group needs to realise. I spoke with Sky Sports there. Every time you play in the jersey, it means a lot, and it's remembered. I remember what happened 12 years ago. I remember what happened 24 years ago, so these games stick in people's memories, despite it not being as important as the test. So you got to make the most of every opportunity you have in the jersey. Speaking
of 12 years ago, does it bring back memories being here in Canberra?
Yeah, it's as cold as it was. I remember it was even colder the night of the game. I was sat up there with my jacket and hat on and scarf and every layer of clothes I had. So it was a tough game that night. We had a lot of disruption, new players coming in. I think we brought maybe 5 guys in fresh, into the team, and there wasn't a lack of effort, but we just couldn't get a performance out there that warranted a victory.
What have you made of Finn Russell's performance so far on the tour when we've seen him in the 10 jersey?
He's been very good, hasn't he? He's controlled things really well. He's been composed, plays kicked very well. He's defended remarkably well, like really, really well. He's been probably our best defender in the back line, and that's great to see. So far so good. And hopefully we get another performance like that tomorrow.
Just finally from me, saw Owen out here as well today. How's he bedding in, and what's he bringing to the squad already? I know he hasn't been here too long.
As you'd expect with someone with that experience, he's fitted in. He must have had the playbook on the plane on the way over, because he came in and he's not missed a beat. He's been on top of things in training, and that's exactly why you pick someone with experience and knows about a Lions tour, because it might take someone else 10 days to fit in. He's hit the ground running, so it's great to see.
So Johnny Sexton there's that very, very slight pause after every question, which always made me a bit nervous of is he going to take exception to what I'm asking there? But that's Sexton. I thought he was really interesting at the end there, actually, on both Finn Russell and Owen Farrell. We know how big of a fan of Farrell he is, and Finn Russell, obviously, he's had his comments to say about him, which are firmly in the past. And he's been really impressive on this tour, hasn't he, Finn Russell? I think he will start the test series. All right, to finish off the video, to what extent are the Lions in Australia holding back? To what extent are they playing a bit of poker here and they're not showing all their cards? Farrell has been asked about this on the tour already, and he said 100% that will be the case in relation, I think, in particular to Australia. And if I start with the Lions first of all, I guess the big thing is the attacking game. I've spoken about it throughout the weeks that we've been here in Australia so far, how expansive they have been, the offloads, the kind of ambitious passes, how quickly they've gone wide, to the point that I think actually they've been doing that too much. And Andy Farrell said they're better when they're direct. Is there a chance we get to the test series and the Lions have Aki at 12 because as a front foot, ball carrier, I think he's arguably the best 12. I know the fans of Tuipulotu will have something to say about that. I think Tuipulotu is a more all-round 12, but if you just want your 12 to get you over the gain line, I would suggest Aki's the better option there. So today we see them go a lot more direct, less expansive, less going wide too early in attacks, and also more set-piece heavy. The scrum's been really good, the line-out has got better, but even the team at the weekend of Genge, Sheehan, Furlong, Atoje, McCarthy, a big body in Chesham at 6, Conan as your number 8, Tom Curry as 7. Are you going for a power game that is going to give Finn Russell the best possible platform to be able to then launch the attacks? So you go set piece, you go power, you go direct to hope that that unlocks something out wide, which isn't necessarily what we've seen from the Lions so far, I don't think. I think we've seen them be far more expansive than I might have expected them to be. On the flip side of that, what about the Aussies? I said the other day on my walk and talk, I was really disappointed in Australia. I thought they were sloppy, drop passes, didn't look like much continuity, particularly for a team that I thought had been in camp for quite a while here to try and build layers into their game. Joe Schmidt was saying afterwards that they'll be underdogs for the Test series. I mean, how many Lions tours have we had where the home nation are basically calling themselves underdogs? Hardly ever happens. There's a weird complexion to this tour. And given that I want the Australian public to all completely get behind this series and be so engaged in it, it's not great when your head coach is saying that, but he's probably telling the truth. And one good example, I was chatting to someone actually who was at the game, the Australia-Fiji game, saying they basically didn't use Joseph Suali'i. Hardly used him, he was more of a dummy runner, didn't use him in terms of the kicking game. And you think, when it comes to Test series, surely that is not going to be the case. So are they holding something back as well? Which to me is a really fascinating discussion of how do you put your building blocks in place to prepare for a Test series whilst also deliberately not showing your full hand? I understand how you can do it with certain strike moves, but what we're talking about here is almost quite a fundamentally different type of game, in particular from the Lions' point of view, possibly from the Aussies as well, than what they're currently displaying. How much can you hold back ahead of an actual Test series? We'll find out when we get to Brisbane. But that's a real theory doing the rounds at the moment, that there's a bit of smoke and mirrors going on here. How much are we seeing the real deal and the real package? Part of it, I think, is a natural part of a tour. You don't show everything. But it seems to be quite extreme at the moment, I think, anyway. Let me know, anyway. Let me know what you thought of Johnny Sexton, what he had to say. Let me know kind of about the team and the players that you think are nailed on or maybe playing for a place in the Test team. And let me know about the game plan. Are these two sides holding themselves back ahead of the Test series? Appreciate you watching. More walk and talks to come, I hope. It's going to be a quiet night for me in Canberra. Hope you enjoyed the video. Comment down below, like the video, subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.